What's up guys, Deagle here from ProNDC. Welcome to another ESO build video. So today I have the Magicka Nightblade for you for the Horns of the Reach update. I decided to make a race change back to a high elf from my red guard because a lot of people requested a Magicka Nightblade build video, and I was really sad that I had to tell them that I don't have a Magicka Nightblade right now, and because like on PTS they didn't update it, so I wasn't able to like make race changes there because I always have the gear. I usually always have the gear, so I can just like do my test there. But since I made the race change, I was able to actually test the builds and trials. So you have different options for gear, and also if you don't run trials and you just like need gear because you start with a class, I can tell you what you need to like craft yourself or try to buy or try to farm to get started with Magicka Nightblade. I think like today the PTS patch for the Clockwork City DLC will launch, so let's see how it will affect certain classes and base game balance, stuff like that. But anyway, let's get into stats first. So I am a high elf. If you are a Dunmer, so if you're a Dunmer, you don't need to race change to a high elf. Dunmer is still pretty good, but I'm not sure if Dunmer is like the best choice. It used to be the best option because we had a lot of flame damage that got boosted. Nowadays we usually don't bring a Magicka Dragon Knight anymore because like if we have melee DPS, we usually just go with the stem DPS. Like Magicka Dragon Knight is insanely strong, so is Magicka Nightblade, but if you want to go full damage, you need like a more Magicka optimized group usually, and usually our groups are stem optimized, so we play our Magicka DPS or Magicka DDs, they play more as support characters. So I am a high elf. I have a little bit more sustain, 10% more max Magicka, 9% more Magicka recovery, and 4% more elemental damage, which is fine. Dark elf, pretty much the same, but just like 9% max Magicka and 7% more flame damage and 2% on the other two elements. So we have almost 44k Magicka, 18.6k health, 2.6 spell damage unbuffed, 60.5k spell crit with precise staves. I will get to traits, of course, when I talk about gear, because there is not like a huge difference. 800 Magicka recovery. I have the Apprentice Wonderstone, and I have max health, max Magicka food. To show my consumables, of course, first I use melon baked Parmesan pork as my food. It gives me max Magicka, max health. It's CP 150. You don't need to use that food, but sometimes people still ask me like, what food exactly do I use? I don't know if they think like different food will give them different stats, but if your food is blue, if it's CP 150 and it gives you max Magicka and max health, you will get the same stats. As potions, we use Essence of Spell Power. We get Midget Sorcery, 20% more spell damage for 47.6 seconds. We get Major Prophecy and Magicka back, of course. So those are the potions that we use, like standard DPS potions, of course. Make sure you unlock your alchemy passive, medicinal use. So your potions last 30% longer. So they last longer than the actual cooldown of your potions. So let's get into gear. I will firstly show you the setup that I usually use when I play Magicka Nightblade, because it's a little bit more support oriented than like the full DPS version. Because to play the full DPS version, like the full damage version, you would need, like I said, a Magicka Dragon Knight in the group with Engulfing Flames, because Engulfing Flames will increase the flame damage taken by the enemy by 10% from all sources, so also from your sources. And to use the max damage setup, you'd need a flame damage enchantment, but I will get to that in about a minute. So what I use right now is Valken Scoria. Unfortunately, I only have the light helmet. That's one more reason why I don't use the full damage version. So I have a medium chest of Juliana. So Scoria gives us a meteor with an 8% chance to proc. It has a 5-second cooldown, But it's really good. It gives us health and some extra damage, so it's great for range DPS. The other flame damage option would be Growth Dart, but you have to play as a melee, and like Growth Dart is really great, even though damage got nerfed a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really like to use Elambris anymore. I kind of want to stick with Scoria, because Elambris also got nerfed, and we don't have like a lot of flame damage to actually proc the flame part of Elambris. So Scoria is one of the sets you could use. If you switch Funnel Health or Swallow Soul with Force Pulse, you can also use Narineth. I made most of my tests with Narineth, of course also in Divines, and it also gives you health. And if you deal direct damage, you have a 10% chance to proc the Lich Crystal, which deals magic damage. So like, if you have Engulfing Flames in your group, Scoria gets boosted, Narineth deals magic damage. So like, there's not a lot of DPS difference. I did my tests and the damage was about the same. So no big difference actually. So this is an option if you want to play with Force Pulse. Usually I just recommend to stick with Scoria. Then we have Juliana's here as a 5p set. Gives us basically everything we need for Magicka DPS, spell crit, Magicka, spell damage, and it's craftable. So for the 4p set on the front bar we use Moondancer. This is from the Maw of Lockhart. Of course all spell damage. We get Magicka, Minor Slayer, and spell damage. However, I recommend to go with Infallible Aether. So this set here drops in all Cracklon trials. Unfortunately, I only have a Sharpened Lightning Staff. What you would want is an infused Flame Staff, because Infallible Aether will give you spell crit instead of Magicka, like Moondancer. However, because of that extra crit, it's like 3.6 or 3.7%. I don't need Precise. Like you can see, I have Precise here. If I don't use Precise, I can just like slot the stuff here so you see my stats. So if I don't use Precise, I'm sitting at 53.6%. If I have a sword using a dark magic ability, I get to 56%. If I had Infallible Aether, I'd be sitting at 60%. With of course the sword buff with minor prophecy. Yeah, so that's about the difference. The thing is, like, Precise is still not bad. If you have Infallible Aether, Precise Inferno Staff, you can use it. It's totally fine. I made tests, and Precise and Infused, the damage difference is almost non-existent. I think Infused gives you a little bit more single target damage, but then again, it depends quite a bit on the buff and debuff uptimes of you and the bosses. So yeah, I kinda don't think that there's a huge difference between Precise and Infused. Like, at least from the test that I've done, Precise is still like an option that you could run. However, Infused might be the better way to go. But I only have an Precise Maelstrom Lightning Staff, and I want a Lightning Staff if I play with Julianos. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I have like the same crit chance on both bars. So those are the options, like Moondancer or Infallible Aether. If you don't have any of these, what I think it's a little bit easier to farm is Master Architect. I think I forgot to mention that in my German video. Master Architect. So I have Master Architect here, Inferno Staff here, Infused. I think I also have like Precise ones somewhere. At least charged ones. Master Architect gives you the same set bonuses as Moondancer, as you can see. Like the first 4 are the same. So Master Architect is an option you have, like if you don't want to run Moondancer, or if it's too hard for you to get Moondancer staves, just try to get Master Architect and House of Fabrication. Sorrow for max damage. Probably it's not by a lot, but it still should give you a little bit more damage. Burning Spellweave. You can again play Burning Spellweave, but you have to use an Infused Staff on the front bar with the Flame Damage enchantment. Now, why would that be a problem? Usually, like, as an example, in G&G, we have at least 4 stem DPS. They don't deal shock damage. However, like the remaining 4 spots, DPS spots, are filled with either Magicka Nightblade or Magicka Sword in our trials, and they have to like provide all the lightning damage to put concussion on the boss. Why do you need concussion? So concussion has the side effect that it applies minor vulnerability. So minor vulnerability has the effect, if it's applied by concussion, that for 4 seconds the enemy takes 8% more damage from all sources. So only one person actually has to reapply that all the time, but you also need concussion because of one other ability, and that's the blockade of storms. Because a blockade of storms, setting concussed enemies off balance for 4 seconds. Why do you need off balance? It's pretty simple. You have a passive that's Exploiter here, increases your damage done against off balance enemies by 10%. So depending on your group, your off balance and concussion or like minor vulnerability uptimes can vary quite a bit. A glyph, a weapon glyph, has the chance to has a chance of 20% to apply a status effect. So if you have a shock glyph, it has a 20% chance each time it hits to apply concussion to your enemy. That's like 20% chance is a lot. A flame damage glyph has the chance to apply burning to your enemy. So how does burning spell wave work? Well, you have an increased chance to apply burning, but then also you have your flame damage glyph, which also has a 20% chance to apply burning, and then because of that extra flame damage and that extra chance to apply the burning status effect, burning spell wave is actually viable. And I was able to get like 62% uptime on my Magicka Nightblade on the target skeleton. In trials, when I tested it, my uptime was between 57 to 61%, depending on the fight. That's actually pretty good. Like, I didn't die. If you die, of course, your burning spell wave uptime will be really bad, or if you have to rest people. But we had some pretty decent fights, and my burning spell wave uptime was really nice. However, because we didn't have a Magicka Dragon Knight at that time, it wasn't recommended to go with like the flame damage enchantment, because the flame damage enchantment and the burning status effect also get boosted. And also, we didn't have enough shock damage, and so our off balance and minor vulnerability uptimes were pretty bad. So what I recommend is to go with this setup here to give your group a little bit more support. If I go with Burning Spellweave, I go with the Infused Moondancer Inferno Staff, and then with the Maelstrom Inferno Staff in Nirnhorn on the back bar. Yeah, so that's pretty much the option for maximum damage. You would want to combine it with Scoria or Grothdar to have another monster set that gives you flame damage to get a little bit better uptime. However, I played it with Niraynath because I only have the light helmet here, so my HP would be a little bit too low. And I still had those like 57 to 61% uptimes even though I used Niraynath. Anyway, those are the options that you have for basically like best in slot. Just don't quote me on that. It's not, I don't think there's like any more such thing as best in slot. If you want to go Maelstrom Arena, I don't recommend to go with a monster set anymore. What you would do, or what you want to do, is go with Infallible Ether. This, you can get this in the Crackdown trials. Just go with jewelry and 2 body pieces. And then what you want to do is get a Julianos Inferno Staff infused, and then get a Maelstrom Flame Staff for the Maelstrom Arena in Nirnhorn on the back bar, or in infused. It's up to you. It's not a lot of difference. You could also go with the Lightning Staff, and yes, people say like, why do you recommend Maelstrom gear if you want to run Maelstrom Arena? Well, I'm just telling you what gear you should get to get the best results. So you would put a Maelstrom Staff in the back bar. If you don't have the Maelstrom Staff, just go with 2 Julianos staves. Like in Nirnhorn, Julianos Inferno Staff for the Maelstrom Arena, or a Lightning Staff. Probably better off with a Lightning Staff because you can also use it outside of a trial. So you have 5 pieces of infallible ether, Juliana staves, 4 pieces of Julianos, and then you slot 1 monster piece of your choice. It could be Ice Heart or Slimecraw for more spell crit chance. It could be Elambris for more Magicka. It could be Kina for more spell damage. But like you have a lot of crit chance already because of infallible ether, because it also gives you 2 times spell crit, same as Juliana, so your crit is pretty high. I think Kina will give you maybe a little bit better results. So why do you wear infallible ether? You can apply minor vulnerability for 10 seconds to your opponent with a heavy attack, with a fully charged heavy attack. If you use a lightning staff, the first tick will also apply it, which is good. But you can also use it outside of trials, for example in Ethereum Archive or in the Ethereum Archive at the Atronox, because these 2 bosses cannot get affected by concussion, so they cannot get set off balance and they cannot get the minor vulnerability by shock damage. So if you have this set and you do a heavy attack, your group will deal 8% more damage. So it's really, really good to have this set. And I really recommend to like have this at least with you if you need to switch for AA. But it also deals a lot of damage, so it's recommended to play with one of these sets. Anyway, let's get to the options that you have if you don't run trials. So what you can always do is, of course, craft yourself Julianos and get yourself a monster set. You don't have to run trials. That's one option. And then just try to put in willpower. Jewelry, you can just buy it. It's relatively cheap. It's like 15 to 20k for 1 piece. And then maybe like get random staves. That's one option. You could also use Torok's Pact. So Torok's Pact is also craftable. It just needs 3 traits researched, and it will give you spell damage and HP. However, I don't recommend to go with Torok's Pact staves. You could do that, of course, if you have a lot of gold and you can like make a lot of staves golden. Always go with an infused Inferno Staff on the front bar and infused or Nirnhold Lightning Staff on the back bar. This will probably give you the best results for you. Try to get like 3 pieces of Torok's Pact on your body and get Juliana staves, because the Juliana staves you can always use them later on in the game. Like if you get your monster sets and other pieces, Juliana staves are still pretty good. Like if you have an infused Juliana's Inferno Staff, it's still really good on different classes and other builds, so you don't have to craft new staves every time you create a new class or you want to try stuff out. Yeah, that's one option. What you can also use if you run dungeons, you have your monster set, you just want a 4-piece set, or you want one of the 5-piece sets, you can always run spinners. So spinners gives you Magicka, spell damage, and spell penetration. That's also one of the options that you have. So you can combine Julianos with spinners, 1 monster set, Juliana staff on the front bar, and on the back bar if you don't have a Maelstrom staff. That's also a good option for dungeons. If you only want 4-piece set, like because you already have like Julianos on the body, or like 1 staff and 4 body pieces, what you can get is what's it called? Vicious Death. Is it? So here, that's why I have 2 Inferno Staves gold. I used to play that in back in the days when I started on PC. It gives you spell damage, Magicka, and spell crit. So you can wear 3 jewelry pieces and then 1 body piece and use Juliana staves, or go with 2 staves and 3 jewelry pieces, up to you. So those are the options that you have if you are like more new to the class, or yeah, if you need gear to actually do trials, to get the trials gear. So let's go into skills. I won't go into much detail here. I already told you that you have the option to go with the Force Pulse if you want to use Narayaneth. We have Swell Soul here. Merciless Resolve to proc our Spectral Bow, of course. Then we have Siphoning Attacks. So this skill can be replaced and can be put on the back bar. Only if you use Swallow Soul, of course, because otherwise we need a Siphoning Attack skill on the front bar to get the Magicka Flood passive, I assume. Wait. It's Magicka Flood. Yeah, 8% more max Magicka. So you need siphoning attacks, siphoning ability on both bars. So we have siphoning attacks here. Also, of course, Swallow Soul. So if you have Swallow Soul, you can just like replace it and put Twisting Path on front bar. But it's completely up to you. Then we have Impale. Finally got fixed. Our Execute, we used at 25% health or lower, then Inner Light, and then Fiery Rage. So Fiery Rage, I just don't slot Meteor anymore. First of all, we need a Destro ability on the front bar. If you use Force Pulse, you could use Meteor. However, I kinda do not want to use Meteor anymore. Of course, Meteor should actually give you a little bit more DPS. However, like in a lot of situations, we stack ads and need to burn them down. And also like in boss fights, for example, the Assembly General, we just need the Destro ult. So Fiery Rage is much better for that compared to Meteor. Of course, it's more expensive, costs 250 ultimate, but it's still like, I just don't want to slog it around anymore. The 2% more like extra max Magicka, I don't know, probably not worth it. And like I said, we need a Destro ability on the front bar anyway. Then on back bar we have Blockade of Storms for the off balance. We have Twisting Path, which I said like can be replaced, like you can put it on the front bar. We have Crippling Grasp, Inner Light, our Shield Harness Magicka, and Soul Harvest. So the good thing is Blockade and Crippling Grasp, 8-second duration, you can both cast them at the same time. So why would you put Twisting Path on front bar and play it like that? The thing is, we can like always play it like this, and we use Twisting Path when it runs out. So we don't have to overcast Twisting Path again all the time. So we separate Twisting Path from the other two dots. That will save us a little bit of Magicka instead of recasting it all the time. And then also we should get a little bit more damage like that. We also have a little bit more health on the front bar, but like that's up to you. I don't have, I used to play with Twisting Path on the front bar, because we have Swallow Soul, we can put siphoning attacks here, and it's up to you. You also have a different option. You can just like put this one here, put this here, and swap out Crippling Grasp for Destructive Clench. You could also put Destructive Clench on the back bar. If you have it on the front bar, you can slot Meteor if you want to. Clench is also a really good damage over time effect. It was really effective back then on Magicka Nightblade to proc Alambris, and it's still really good here also on the front bar for a good flame dot. However, like as I said, you can also like put it on the back bar for Shock Clench to get a little bit more shock damage. It's up to you how you want to play it. But you would need, of course, siphoning attack on the back bar, so you might need to switch around your abilities a little bit. Like if you have it here with Flame Clench, you have all the passives, like one siphoning attack on each bar, but it also like it has an 8-second duration, so you have to cast it together with Blockade of Storms. I kind of don't like it, so what I just do, I prefer to run like this. And the reason for that is pretty simple. I can cast all my 3 dots at the same time on one bar. So I can just do this. And whenever my blockade hits 2 seconds, I swap bars, cast my path, my blockade, and my grasp. Just don't trust the numbers here always. Trust the numbers here, because sometimes this add-on keeps bugging and like shows a different cooldown, which is a little bit weird. Trust the numbers of surrender. If you are on console, what you want to do is keep track of your crippling grasp. Crippling grasp should show as a debuff on your opponent. Like, because I also like, I have it here on the right side. This is my debuff bar on the opponent. When you're, let me actually check. When to actually reapply. So when your crippling grasp hits 3 seconds, what you want to do is then switch bars. As soon as it hits 3 seconds, you do your last attack into your bar swap, then recast your 3 dots. That's pretty much like the most simple way to actually, yeah, keep track of your rotation. So, that's the rotation. Pretty much it. It's like not a real rotation. You recast your dots when they run out, and then you just like fill the remaining time with your spambles and light attacks, and with the spectral bows when they proc. If your master resolve runs out, just like recast it, and you're good to go. Yeah. So let's get into champion points. So for champion points, I have 2 different distributions for you for the blue tree. So we have 34 Warlord, 43 Arcanist, 75 Tenacity, 28 Tumbling, and 40 into Shadow Ward. Then we have 51 Ironclad, 12 Spell Shield, 49 in Hardy, 49 Elemental Defender, 40 Thick Skinned, and 90 into Quick Recovery. So spell erosion always depends on your group. Try to do the math with the group. How are the debuff uptimes? What debuffs do you have? Do you have Alkosh? If you don't, you might need some more points here. If you need more points to do spell erosion, take points out of Elemental Expert and Master at Arms and put them in spell erosion. So we have 44 into Elfborn, 56 Elemental Expert, 24 spell erosion right now, 44 Master at Arms, and 52 Thaumaturge. So we don't have Exploiter. The reason for that is, in some groups, the off-balance uptime is just not good enough. If you have like 40 or 50% off-balance uptime, you just get 40 or 50% damage increase from this passive here. So you don't get for 10%, it's more like 4 or 5% damage, but you give up damage on the other trees, and it's you might get a little bit more damage if you distribute CP like that. However, in groups where you have a good off-balance uptime, you want a different distribution. And this is not my CP distribution. I had a different one for off-balance when I tested it, but I had better results with this one. So this is from @LZH. He's a PCNA player, one of the best Nightblades out there, and really, really awesome. Just like check out his channel to see his Magicka Nightblade gameplay. He's really, really good at his mech blade. So we have 75 into Thaumaturge, 37 into Master at Arms, 31 into Spell Erosion, 31 into Elemental Expert, and 40 into Elfborn. If you don't need those many points to Spell Erosion, you can put some more points into Elemental Expert or into Master at Arms to boost your damage a little bit. But as I said, do the math with your group and try to figure out how much penetration you actually need. So that's pretty much it. If you have any more further questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. If you liked the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and if you don't want to miss any more ESO content, hit that sub button, would be really nice, and I hope you tune in the next time as well. So until then, bye bye guys.